you. It's true that since the kicking off of political liberalization in Ethiopia since 2018, that is, the incidence and intensity of conflict has surged, at times unprecedentedly, uh, since the coming to power of the EPRDF in 1991. There could be a number of reasons for that, but I think they could be, well, actually, the major ones could be summarized into two important factors. One is the unprecedented rise in contending ethnic mobilizations in the country. And two is also because of the fragility of state and party institutions in Ethiopia today. So when we see contending ethnic mobilizations in Ethiopia, we can see ascendant Oromo, Tigray, Amhara, and a number of other ethnic mobilizations in Ethiopia, and most of them are antagonistic to one another in some ways. And the struggle in all of these cases is over a number of very important issues. One could be border issues. Ethnicity is territorialized in Ethiopia for the last 27 years, and ethnic borders, territorial borders, are points of contention. And two, it could also be because of land position between so-called natives and so-called settlers in different regions of Ethiopia. And there is also a general power struggle to control the central government in the country as well. So all these antagonistic ethnic mobilizations at times lead to violent ethnic conflicts in the country. Now the question then is, why is it that the state has failed so far to effectively contain and prevent the incidence or the eruption of violent conflicts in the country? And there are a number of reasons for that, but the major ones could be attributed to the fragility of state and party institutions. The Ethiopian state today suffers from three particular problems. One is that it has been, a number of its structures in different places have fractured. In the protests in the lead up to the political liberalization, mob structures have hijacked state structures and rendered it quite fragile. And in different places again, especially the security forces, there is the breaking down of chains of commands and control as well. And that makes containing violence a very cumbersome measure to take by the security forces. The second aspect of state fragility in Ethiopia today is the renegotiation between the federal government and the regional governments. Before 2018, there was a very clear-cut rule, written or unwritten, governing the relationship between federal and regional states. In Ethiopia today, there is renegotiation of that rule, whereby regional governments are flexing their muscles and increasing their power vis-a-vis the federal government, and at times building their own paramilitary forces, at times leading to violent conflicts. The third aspect of state fragility in Ethiopia today is there's somehow blurring of lines between upholding rule of law and order on the one hand and sliding back to authoritarianism on the other hand. A number of members of the security forces now think that if they take action, strong action to contain violence or to prevent violence from eruption, they think that they have to go back to those dark old days of mass detention and killing, which is not very much in line with the rhetoric of political liberalization in the country today. And at the same time, the party institutions are undergoing internal fracture as well. The Ethiopian People Revolutionary Democratic Front, EPRDF, the ruling party in Ethiopia for the last 27 years, has no more been able to keep its internal coherence. It has fractured or nearly fractured along its ethnic fault lines. The EPRDF has been constituted by at least four mostly ethnic parties. And they are now in a very difficult, troubled form of relationship with one another. They don't agree on a wide range of issues, including ideological and programmatic issues, but they're also torn apart by different ethnic constituencies with opposing demands and interests. So this has become a roadblock towards enforcing rule of law and order in the country. One, because it has been very difficult for the ruling party to chart a national plan for securing peace in the country. And two, the internal infighting among the different sister organizations within the ruling party has made it very difficult for the federal government to secure peace and stability in the entire country. And the relationship between contending nationalisms and state fragility is quite cyclical as well. With more robust contending nationalisms, you have more intensified state fragility. And on the other hand, when you have fragile state and party institutions, that's in turn contributing to the fueling of further contending nationalisms, leading to violent conflicts. Yeah, so I can think of four, in my view, important measures that need to be taken by different stakeholders in the country. The very first measure, in my view, is something that should be undertaken by the ruling party itself. The different constituent parties of the EPRDF, the ruling party in Ethiopia today, have to form coherence within their own party structures. And that should be backed by some sort of party discipline. All these four different ethnic parties should then come together to negotiate over a wide range of issues that can finally help them chart a national plan to stabilize, to calm down, violent conflict in the country. This includes somehow making each component of the APRDF comfortable enough to join the bandwagon of democratic transition in this country. That's one thing. The second very important thing to remember is while this negotiation is underway within the APRDF, national dialogue at the national level should be kicked off as well. So different political currents in the country should be included in an intense and very candid discussion on how to craft a constitutional design for this country so that all interests and visions for this country could be included, and a kind of reorientation of or reconstruction of the state could become fruitful, and each party or political current in this country could be satisfied with the way the state is crafted. The third very important measure that needs to be taken is the state's structure should be reclaimed in different parts of the country, and the state should reactivate its power to contain violence throughout Ethiopia. And the security forces, in specific terms, should be professionalized enough to take decisive measures to contain violence, while at the same time, protecting human rights as well. And this also includes doing things in the most professional way, whereby security forces demonstrate utmost loyalty to the state and not to any political party in the country. And then finally, civic society organizations should also inject into the society non-ethnic and cross-cutting agendas so that ethnic mobilization, ethnic sentiments could be a bit toned down, and cross-cutting common, mutually inclusive issues could be entertained widely across the society.